Mr. Prime Minister, thanks so much for joining us up here in East Gwillimbury at a local grocer. I know that you're here to talk about affordability, so let's start with the timing of this announcement. We're about 2.5 years since inflation peaked, over 8% back in June 2022. So why are you making this announcement now as opposed to sending out that life raft back when families were dealing with an acute inflationary crisis?
Well, first of all, right now Canadians need a break, and we're giving them a break. We are taking off the GST, HST on a whole range of items for the next 2 months, from mid-December to mid-February. Groceries will be GST free. The restaurants, takeout, fast food, beer and wine, taking the GST, HST off of that, and then kids' clothes, toys, a whole range of things that are going to take pressures off people right now. And we can do this because inflation is now back down, and interest rates are coming down too. So it's a recognition of the challenges people have had. But over the past couple of years, whether it's been on dental care, whether it's been on expanding childcare spaces at $10 a day across the country, whether it's been on things like moving forward on prescription contraceptives for free and insulin for free, these are things, along with the school food program, putting money in people's pockets without pushing inflation higher.
You said in your remarks Canadians are still struggling to get by, and they are, and that's evident when you look at the food bank statistics. Just a couple of weeks ago, I covered the latest Who's Hungry report, and in the city of Toronto, record levels, 3.5 million visits over the course of the year, higher than the city's population. So why now, Mr. Prime Minister? Why not 2 years ago? So it could have helped people from ever having to get in that line and show that vulnerability and ask for help.
Well, global inflation hit everyone very hard, and we've been driving down inflation, and that's where putting money into people's pockets right now is going to help as they're still squeezed. But over the past years, whether it was a grocery rebate that we put forward, whether it's moving forward on school food programs, whether it's investing to support seniors, investing in supporting families, expanding the Canada Child Benefit, these are things that have gotten people through while at the same time bringing down inflation.
Are you doing this, sir, with all due respect, out of desperation because for the past year you've been double digits behind Pierre Poilievre?
We have been, over the past few years, delivering on affordability supports for Canadians, whether with the Canada Carbon Rebate that puts more money in people's pockets, whether it's with the school food program, whether it's dental care, whether it's pharmacare. We have been stepping up for Canadians, and we're doing it even more right now with tax relief off the GST, HST, big break for Canadians for 2 months as we end this year, as we start next year, as well as the Canada Workers Rebate, which is going to be a check for $250 for anyone who worked last year and makes less than $150,000.
I want to ask you about that check because it wasn't too long ago Premier Doug Ford issued a similar announcement. He did not account for income. You're supporting Canadians and giving them $250 if they made $150,000 or less. Opposition leaders, including Boddy Crombie, who I know you're going to see tonight, said essentially the Premier was buying people's votes with their own money. Isn't that what you're doing?
Canadians need support, and I think recognizing that people who were working hard need that little extra benefit. But I agree, not sending the checks to millionaire families, making sure that they're targeted on people who are hardworking. These are the things that we're doing because we recognize that Canadians are hurting, even though the Canadian economy is getting better, even though our fiscal position as a government is one of the strongest in the world. We need to put that in service of Canadians, and that's why we're delivering the Canada Workers Benefit.
You think this tax holiday is going to help Canadians? Why don't you put a holiday on the carbon tax as well?
The price on pollution, the carbon tax, puts more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians. People across Ontario in the middle class get back more every 3 months from the Canada Carbon Rebate than they pay on the price on pollution, on the carbon tax. So it's an affordability measure that's also driving down emissions and spurring innovation. So it's good for Canadians, and unfortunately Pierre Poilievre wants to take away the Canada Carbon Rebate.
The PBO actually said when you look at the full national impact of the carbon tax plus the rebate, the vast majority of Canadians are actually worse off. So why not actually, if you're looking into affordability, scrap the tax or as Premier Ford's calling for today, pause on it?
Okay. The Canada Carbon Rebate puts more money than the actual price on pollution they pay. The PBO confirms that. Now, if you bring in larger issues, you have to bring in the cost of inaction on climate change. People know that worse extreme weather events, worse floods, worse forest fires across the country are very expensive. Having to build stronger infrastructure, more is expensive. The costs of climate change, the costs of not acting on climate change are massive. Now, some people think, okay, we shouldn't do anything on climate change, but if you're not fighting climate change, you're not building a strong economy. So we're fighting it while putting more money directly into people's pockets, and they see it. Every time that Canada Carbon rebate check arrives, every 3 months, they're getting hundreds of dollars that is helping offset the cost of living as well.
Why not help Canadians by helping them with their heating costs as well, as the NDP was calling for specifically?
We have moved forward on getting people off of home heating oil onto heat pumps, which saves thousands of dollars a year in terms of savings. We know that the people who use home heating oil tend to be more vulnerable, lower income. Changing that with a heat pump is going to save millions of dollars across the country and around the world. Why we're doing that is to actually save people money. We have programs putting forward where we're working with a number of provinces to give heat pumps for free to lower income Canadians, and we certainly hope that people are going to move forward on that program.
You're here in the GTA, PM, but out in Ottawa, the big story today is Edmonton Centre MP Randy Boissonnault. You put out a statement yesterday saying he was stepping away from Cabinet to clear of any of these allegations relating to Indigenous identity. Did you ask him to step away, or was that decision he made?
We had a conversation, and that was the decision we made together.
The statement made it sound as though there was a path for him to return to Cabinet. Is that the case?
He is going to fight these allegations. He's going to clear his name.
Okay. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll send it back to you in the newsroom.